You know, guys, when Bungie showed us Prismatic for the first time, I couldn't believe it. You know, I'm pretty sure at one point I said I would delete a god role if Bungie gave us a new subclass. Something that I felt very confident that they would not be able to do. Somehow, some way, we're getting it. Now, it is limited. We're not getting everything we want in this subclass, and that's really the topic of today's video. We're going to be talking about the limited nature of Prismatic, but why I also think it's still going to be really, really good, guys. And I think a lot of people are underselling it at the moment. You saw some of the gameplay show this past week. We broke down some of that gameplay live, but there was a lot of people commenting saying that it looks weak. Whereas myself, who does builds all the time on this channel, I'm like running full steam ahead, thinking about all the crazy things we're going to be doing. I already recognize that Prismatic is going to be very, very strong. And we're going to be breaking things down further in future videos. We're going to do it class by class and certain builds that are going to be very dominant. With that being said, though, I do want to talk today about the limited nature of Prismatic, why it exists, but also why this is going to be something that's going to be very much tied to what Bungie presents to us going forward. Because it's not about where Prismatic is going to be in the final shape. It's really about what the hell is the path beyond this? Because I don't know. Like, how do you even follow up Prismatic? You know what I mean? When you have the ability to combine multiple light classes with multiple dark classes and you're merging aspects and everything, you can't exactly just be like, okay, here's a Siva subclass. Not that we're getting Siva. We've talked about this in the past, not paracausal, yada, yada. But the point is, you can't exactly follow up on anything when it comes to Prismatic. And that's got to be a concern from Bungie. I mean, at that point, what do you do? Now, let me just talk about that limited nature portion of Prismatic. Understand the rollout that we're getting is not going to be every ability in the game. We actually did an entire video about a couple weeks ago going over the abilities that we will have present at the beginning of the final shape, but also the ton of supers and aspects and different elements from other classes that will not be available in Prismatic. The other side of things is they're also going to be limiting exotic class items. So exotic class items, guys, are essentially the ability to merge the main trait of an exotic with the main trait of another exotic. The way they're balancing this is that these exotics, the spirit of these exotics, are only going to be present in certain columns. And there's 2 columns. And so essentially think of it as like when Bungie used to limit damage perks on weapons. And we used to not have the ability to have double damage perks. That's exactly what's happening here. So to keep things balanced amongst exotic class items, they're just going to keep things designated to their columns. So you can only get things in column 1 to pair with things in column 2. On top of that, you're not going to have every exotic in the game that's going to be present on these exotic class items. Again, what Bungie showed us also is very limited in what we have choice-wise going into the final shape. The other side of things, by the way, guys, these exotic class items are not going to be present before the raid. Again, the raid rolls out 3 days after the launch of the final shape. And this is, of course, to keep things, well, I guess, balanced or make sure things are going to be busted before we do the raid. And this, of course, makes the day 1 raid experience more competitive. These things will actually be rolling out the week after when the episode itself launches. Now, understand, this is very important because you can only use these exotic class items while playing Prismatic. So a lot of people are going to have the discussion going into the day 1 raid. Should we rock Prismatic or should we just designate ourselves to the builds that have been carrying us for the past few years? And that's going to be something that's going to come down to the sandbox changes that Bungie is going to be making leading up to the final shape. We know Well of Radiance is supposed to be getting a nerf. There's probably going to be other nerfs, but also other buffs. And of course, there's going to be an exotic overhaul. So again, you can use other exotics with Prismatic. It's not like you can't go over there and knock on Swarmers and use that with Prismatic. That's still going to be a thing. But you can't use exotic class items where you merge exotics together on just a solar class or a buoy class. That is locked to Prismatic only. And I really want to drive that point because when we were covering the TWAB this past week, there seemed to be a number of people that miss the fact that you have to be using Prismatic in order to use those exotic class items. That is the nature of Prismatic. That is essentially how Bungie is balancing things. And so yes, we have this crazy amount of customization, more customization than we ever thought possible. But there are limits to all of these things. There's limits to which abilities are going to be present. There's limits to which exotics are going to be present. But like I said, how do you follow this up? How do you follow up Prismatic going forward? And how do you follow up exotic class items? You see, guys, we're going to be getting new exotics in the final shape. I'm going to be excited about them because, well, it's new stuff. But at the same time, all I'm going to be thinking about is when can I get that on my exotic class item? And the same is going to be for any future subclass we're given in the game. If you give us a new subclass in the game, yes, I'm going to be excited for that, whatever red subclass we were supposed to be getting. That's going to be hype. But I'm also going to be asking the question right afterward, which one of these abilities am I going to be able to utilize with Prismatic? Now, guys, I need to mention that this is not me saying I'm not excited about Prismatic. Fellas, I love the power fantasy. I can't wait. We're already literally theory crafting right now in our Discord for Hunters, Warlocks, and Titans. And we're going to be having build cards coming out very soon of all the different builds we're going to be utilizing with these exotic class items and the Prismatic arsenal that we have present in front of us. So I am very excited, but I'm still asking that same question. How the hell do you follow this up? When we went from Destiny 1 subclass layout to Destiny 2, that was an easy one because we were all just like, hey, give us back customizable subclasses. Now, we didn't get it for a very long time. When D2 first came out, we had static subclass trees, and that was it. It was very limited. And then Beyond Light came, and we started to see essentially what would become the layout for all of our subclasses going forward. Beyond Light brought us Stasis, it brought us Aspects and Fragments, and then eventually we had the Witch Queen, which rolled out everything else. We got Void 3.0, we got Solar 3.0, we got Arc 3.0, and that was the customization that we were all asking for essentially since the beginning of Destiny 2. And all of that, it made sense. We didn't necessarily have a roadmap presented to us, but we pretty much understood what the future of our subclasses and therefore what the future of our builds would be going forward. But with Prismatic, I don't know, guys. I really don't know how you follow this up. And this really just brings us back to that video that we made, I think almost 2 months now, where I said Bungie's taking us fishing. They're essentially giving us the power fantasy that we've been asking for so long now before they send us out to the pasture. That is how I'm still kind of feeling, because there are only 2 ways you can go forward with this. Either, number one, you give us a D3, which I know there are rumors right now saying that D3 is being worked on. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe we won't even make it to that point. Or number 2, this is Bungie's final send-off for us, and then that's it. Here's the thing though. Luke Smith came out at the beginning of the most recent reveal for the final shape, and he pretty much said that there's a lot more in store for Destiny 2. And maybe there is. And the thing is, guys, I don't envy Bungie right now because they're kind of putting themselves in a hole here with you having to up what you've previously done. And that's the thing that we've done in the past when it came to Destiny 2, is that Bungie has always kind of upped their previous thing. The problem is Prismatic is literally all the way up. Like, where do you go from here? You're merging all the different things. The only thing that you could do from this point is just give us more abilities to merge in that. But you just shot yourself in the foot if you ever want to include a future subclass outside of maybe I don't know. Maybe there's like going to be some way to fully customize. I just can't even think about this. You see why we've been torn? Because again, I just don't know the direction you can go after this point. You can't one-up Prismatic without just simply, I don't know, completely deprecating all of our other subclasses, and then we just all enter this entire customizable subclass layout here on out forever and ever, and Prismatic is the final shape. I don't know. That sounds crazy. Like, what are the chances that's what's going to happen and unfold over the next few years? And then on top of that, narratively, what is even going to be the big bad, The Witness is currently the biggest bad we've ever experienced. Is the 9 going to somehow become involved? We do see the Ahamkara, and I am very much looking forward to what Bive has to say, because yes, we got to see a lot of stuff in those video clips of Prismatic, but we also got to see one of the bosses we're going to be going up against, which definitely has Ahamkara included. Ahamkara! I'm actually less concerned with the narrative, as I feel like there is a lot of wiggle room there, and there's a lot of other places we can go with this. We still have the Vex to deal with. We still have Zivur Wrath. We still have the Ahamkara. We've got the 9 to also go through. So there's a lot of different branches here narratively that Bungie can explore. And that's not even including the one-offs, the just going and diving into the lore of, like, say, a specific character. I've said in the past that I would love like a Mandalorian style season where we just literally just attach ourselves to the Drifter and go on adventures with them. Completely down with something like that. But I'm actually less concerned with the narrative and more concerned with the sandbox. Because again, how do you one-up the ability to combine exotics together? How do you one-up the ability to combine every subclass element in the game together? The only thing that's going to keep this going is Bungie giving us this limited rollout that they've given us now. And even then, it's not that limited. It is in the exotic department. Like, there's much less exotics present on exotic class items. But in terms of our actual abilities go, they gave us a pretty good suite of different abilities to choose from. And so we could have this entire layout over the next few years where we get everything included in there. But dude, again, you keep including too much into that, and then no one is going to rock any of those other subclasses. Now, what does that mean for us now? Currently, for right now, I guess just enjoy the ride. That's pretty much what I'm doing. The final shape may be the start of something new, or it could be the end of everything. But in the meantime, I'm going to enjoy everything leading up to it. Very much on board for the narrative. I'm looking forward to playing with Prismatic. I'm excited to play with those exotic class items. For the time being, there's a lot of free stuff in Destiny. That's the other thing that's really weird about all of this, is that if Bungie was really coming out here to milk us dry and get every bit of money out of us, wouldn't they be monetizing more? Into the Line has been free. They literally just made every season this year free. They also made Lightfall included on PlayStation Plus, and they made a ton of other expansions completely free. We did an entire video guide the other day going over all the things you can access as a new player right now, and all the red border and seasonal weapons and crafted weapons you can get, including exotics that you can get right now, all for completely free. To say I'm kind of mind blown is an understatement. Bungie has never done anything, like, ever, for free. When was the last time? Just think about this. When was the last time outside of maybe Destiny 1, the April update, Bungie did something for free? I can't even think of it. I really, not in Destiny 2's life, I don't think we've ever done anything for free. And that alone, it's not necessarily concerning, it's just different. And you gotta admit right now, guys, we're dealing with a different Bungie. I don't know what happened. I don't know what changed. I do know they're setting the bar pretty high, and we haven't even gotten to play with Prismatic. The problem is the follow-up after that. But as of right now, at least outwardly looking in, it seems like they're developing like they have no tomorrow. And honestly, I'm here for it. So guys, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Just wanted to share my thoughts with you all. Again, we've got builds coming out over the next few days. Just kind of give you an idea of what you can expect in the final shape. It's looking pretty juicy, guys. A lot of build crafting we have going on. I can't wait for build battles with y'all. I'm sure y'all gonna have some excellent builds to share with us. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.